This is Against the Grain with Abby, the Liverpool doula. Welcome back to the next instalment of Against the Grain with me, Abby, the Liverpool doula. Today we are talking about the business of birth. So we are blowing open the birth industry from cannulas to C-sections, GBS, antibiotics to placenta sales. We are not cheerleading the NHS. We are exposing the cash-fueled machine behind maternity care. So strap in. A little bit of a trigger warning. There will be talk of trauma. There will be talk of probably not the most nice, fluffy topic ever. Obviously, I haven't really warned anyone in the past episodes, but there might be a bit of swearing because it's me. And I just wanted to kind of take the lid off how the industrial birth system works, how the conveyor belt works, because I just thought I'm in the UK, obviously. This podcast is very relevant wherever you are in the world if you are interested in health, wellness, birth, pregnancy. But I'm going to talk about the UK and how basically people think because the UK, our healthcare is free, I say that in quotation marks, that they can't be making money off us. No one's making money from us. We should just be so blessed and grateful that we have the NHS, which 100%, yes, we should. It's amazing at times. However, the maternity system, I don't know why I always yawn at these podcasts. I'm not tired. I don't know if it's a nervous thing. But it's basically people are so hell-bent on defending this abuser that can be the NHS that they're like, they don't make money off us. I'm sorry, but do you know the government? Do you know politics? Do you know that nobody gets anything for free? And if it is free, you are the product. The scamdemic was literal proof of the free injection that they were giving out. Guys, you were the product. That's why you were getting it for free. People were making a shit ton of money off giving out this. Let's not even go there. That's for another day. But if something is free, and don't get me wrong, when this was the NHS was started back in, I don't even know the year, but the guy, I can't even remember his name, Bevan, I think it's something, Welsh guy, started the NHS and he wants everyone to have access. I remember I did this on my access course, so that's what I remember. Let me just see if I can find his name because it's gonna annoy me. Who started NHS? Aneurin Bevan, basically. And he said, long held ideal that good healthcare should be available to all, regardless of wealth. And it was launched on the 5th of July. So, yeah, in 1948. So he had good intentions, obviously. However, times have changed. So yeah, Honora and Bevan, who started it then. So forget that the NHS is here to help you. Although people within it probably do want to help you, they've got good intentions, the whole system is a business and it is a money game. So the NHS payment by result system pays hospitals for each procedure, not for each healthy outcome. So a normal vaginal birth will be about £700 to £800. A C-section on average is £3,800 to £4,500. Add-ons like epidurals, cannulas, and continuous monitoring, hundreds more each. NICU, which is the neonatal intensive care unit, costs £1,200 to £2,000 a day. Hospitals must spend to get funded. If they miss target or reduce their interventions, they risk losing next year's budget. So these high risk labels, so high risk could be advanced maternal age, which we know is a load of bollocks, gestational diabetes, which has got very, very poor testing diagnostic ranges, IUGR, which is intrauterine growth restriction. So they boost internal coding, increasing funding. So low risk natural births do not generate income, so they are sidelined. And the NHS spends billions on maternity litigation insurance, and birth-related claims account for over 50% of legal payouts. 2.6 billion was paid out in 2023 alone, with a massive 8.2 billion earmark for future claims. So nearly double the entire maternity budget. Like, what does that tell you about what is going on? And then there's continuity of care midwifery models, which is basically where you will see the same midwife throughout your pregnancy and she will be on call for your birth, which has been proven to improve outcomes. They've been scrapped or starved of funds because physiological births do not create emergencies or profits. Ward managers juggle cost efficiency whilst NHS England pushes to hit intervention targets, discharge times, and high risk stats. All in the name of finance, not care. So, do you think your consent matters? Nope. The system just wants your pregnancy to tick as many boxes as possible. More interventions, more billing, more profit. So let's talk about the cascade of interventions. So they'll say, like, oh, just a cannula in case. Oh, just a little bit of monitoring. Oh, end up with an epidural. Oh, everything stalls. Oh, let's cut you open. Not that I'm laughing at that, but it's just the age old. It's so predictable. Like, I could literally, I, it sounds awful, but like, literally, I'll see different types of women and I'll know the ones where I'll be like, hey, she's gonna have a section. And people are like, how'd you know? I'm like, oh, I just know. That's just how it's gonna go. You just know. So it's like, for example, on admission, a cannula shoved in your hand just in case, despite over 90% of low risk women never needing it. This just prepares you for having an IV drip of maybe some induction drugs, some antibiotics. So it's already kind of grooming you into accepting those interventions and those pharmaceuticals. Like, we'll just put this in case. Like, why, if you're going into hospital, would you need to have a drip in? Unless they're planning on, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's all this just in case, just in case. But if you're not planning on having that, why would you need it in your hand? But the more, if you're going to have it in your hand, it just makes your brain, I don't know, it just grooms your brain into thinking, oh, well, maybe, maybe. And then it just kind of like, you're more likely to have it, basically. Then there comes the continuous CTG monitoring, which, if someone doesn't know, when you usually go into hospital, more times than not, they will have these two belts around your belly and they will hook you up to a monitor. If you're lucky, you'll get the wireless ones. If you're not, as then again, I'm trying to think, a lot of the places are wireless now, which is great. Well, to be honest, it's not, because CTG is terrible, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But you'll be hooked up to these monitors with a belt around your belly, and one of them, I think, is measuring the strength of your contractions, and the other one is tracking the baby's heartbeat. So obviously, if your baby moves or they can't get it on or it slips down and then you get messed with. So let me tell you about CTG. It's not evidence-based for healthy pregnancies. It leads to false alarms and fetal distress. It restricts your movement and therefore slows down labour. And it also increases instrumental and C-section rates. So again, someone's making money off selling these CTG machines, and they have never ever been shown to improve outcomes. The main reason they were introduced was because they were saying it was going to lessen the risk of like oxygen starvation in babies. It's never ever been proven to do that, and if anything, it has worse outcomes. It's actually safer to be have your baby listened into every 15 minutes using a Doppler. But obviously, someone has made a shit ton of money making these friggin' CTG monitors, even though they're not backed by any evidence whatsoever. Like, literally being on like delivery suite, and they've been like, oh, and I'm like, I've got the paper up and being like, look, it doesn't improve anything, and they're like, oh, policy. But you know what else it is? Because they're so understaffed, they can strap you up to a monitor and leave the room and go and see to other women, which is not their fault, but it's just poor care. Then, when labour does stall, or you are having induction drugs, or things are too painful because you're strapped to a bed and you can't mobilise and move, they'll offer you an epidural to help you cope, which then again further stalls labour. You need as an oh, I can't even think of the word. Anaesthetist, that's the word. I was gonna say an anesthesiologist. Maybe that's in America. But you need an anaesthetist to come in and insert the epidural. But this further stalls your labour by interfering with natural oxytocin, and then it increases the likelihood of an instrumental birth or emergency C-section. Yeah, And then there's the induction drugs, the synthetic oxytocin in the UK known as Syntocinon, in the UK Pitocin, forces contractions without the body's natural hormonal flow, makes labour way more painful, increases the need for epidural, increases the need for C-section. It actually increases C-section rates by 3 times in first-time mums. So can you see how you just go in the hospital just for like, "Oh, I'm gonna go in and have the baby in the hospital." Can you see how just a little monitor, just a little cannula in the hand, obviously you're in hospital, your labour stalls because your body works perfectly because it doesn't feel safe. They'll just add a little bit of, induction drug, a bit of Syntocin on, and before you know it, you're in a frigging theatre getting your belly cut open because of failure to progress when actually your body's worked perfectly because it's thought, fuck this, I do not feel safe. I'm keeping this baby in my womb because I don't feel comfortable, safe in this brightly lit, smelly hospital full of strangers poking me. And then they'll label you as failure to progress. Girl, your body worked perfectly to keep your baby safe. It's the system that has failed you. So they will literally tell you, oh, it's all about safety, but it's not. It's about making birth profitable. And every little just in case intervention adds revenue and pulls you deeper into the system. And can you see how that we call it the cascade of intervention? Because you might just, the first intervention is walking into the hospital. You're on their turf. They will push their policies on you. And even like I had a dad the other day where we were talking about we did transfer into hospital. And I did say to him before, look, this is how they're gonna speak to you. And he'll even say himself, like, Ab, you're right. And I was like, this is what they'll say, and this is what they'll, and he's like, I don't care. I'll just say no. And I was like, no, no, please listen. Like they will try and they do it with a smile. Oh, I call it coercion coercion with a smile, like coercion with kindness. And it's someone asking you not once, like he said, not once. They don't ask you once, they don't ask you twice, they ask you 4, 5, 6 times. And they're so nice. And it's, oh, we just want the best for you and the baby because we can't guarantee, and they use that scary language. And then afterwards he was like, wow, you were right. And I was like, I know, it's because this is why I do this job, because they literally push and push and push and push. And that is literally the first intervention, walking into the hospital, unfortunately. So the next thing I want to talk about is GPS. GBS is basically a stealth antibiotic racket, disrupts your microbiome and sidelines real informed choice. So what is GBS? It's Group B Streptococcus, which is a normal bacteria found in the vagina, rectum, or bladder of about 20 to 40% of healthy women. It's part of the body's ecosystem, just like gut bacteria. Most people carry it without issues. It's actually transient. So, what that means is it comes and goes naturally. So, you could get swabbed, say you're pregnant. I could get swabbed now, like it's completely natural and normal. You could get swabbed at 12 weeks. You could get swabbed at 14 weeks, it'd be gone if you were showing positive at 12 weeks. You could get swabbed at 36 weeks, you're positive, and then you go into labour at 41 weeks. It means nothing, but the system treats GBS like it's this life-threatening, like losing their shit, because the system is terrified of the possibility of risk, not the actual likelihood. So that's the thing we need to remember. Like they're terrified of the possibility of risk, not the likelihood of the risk. And that's differentiating between the two. So in the UK, 11% of birthing women are given IV antibiotics because of the GBS risks. In the US, where they screen everyone, so universal screening drives that number up to 30% or more. Yet, early onset GBS only affects 0.5% of babies born to GBS positive mothers. And of that, no, so let's break down these numbers. It affects 0.5% of babies born to GPS positive mothers. And of those 0.5%, 90% fully recover with care. So, what is 90% of no? Do you know what I mean? Can you see how minuscule? Still, the moment a woman tests positive, or if a baby's heart rate is a bit fast, or she has a mild fever, she's thrown onto this sepsis pathway. It means immediate antibiotics IV before there's any confirmation of an actual infection. Why? because the system is so risk averse, it would rather overtreat 10,000 healthy mothers than miss one genuine case. This is not personalized care. It's one size fits all, fear based medicine. And then the fear has consequences. And by the way, I am not downplaying the risk of GBS to babies. I'm never downplaying the risk of a baby getting sick. What I'm trying to highlight is the risk. And then also we need to talk about, there's the risk of maybe giving the of not giving the antibiotics. What could happen? Let's look at that risk. The risk is extremely low, but let's look at the risk of giving those antibiotics. IV antibiotics, they're going through your bloodstream into your baby, and the baby and the mother both pay the price for this. So antibiotics in labour wipe out that baby's gut microbiome. This is vital bacteria needed for digestion, immunity, and brain development. And this disruption causes the long-term risks of eczema, asthma, food allergies, ADHD, autoimmune conditions, and anxiety, depression. And for the mother, the common side effects include thrush, which you've just given birth, imagine getting thrush as well, gut issues, and also there's a whole widely, remember they did the advert on it about the overuse of antibiotics. It can also cause antibiotic resistance. 1 round of intrapartum antibiotics increases postnatal depression risk by 23%, 3 rounds by 40%, and 5 or more rounds by up to 56%. So if 1 round is increasing the risk of postnatal depression by 23% in the mother, what is it doing to that little baby? Like, what is that baby's? And I think people think it's like stupid to think like a baby's mindset or mood, but what could that be doing to that baby's mood and demeanor and how they're coping with life outside the womb? It also damages the gut brain axis, which increases the long term mental health struggles risk. And I would love to know, was anyone ever given this information about this? Or can any NHS staff please get in touch with me? Do you guys know about this? Like, were you ever taught this? Because this antibiotic overuse, I believe, is the reason why so many people have got so many autoimmune conditions, why there's so much acne, eczema, ear infections, asthma, IBS, food intolerances, ADHD, autism. Like, this is all playing like a massive contributor into why basically as a society we're fucked. So why do they keep pushing this? Because the system isn't built for individualized care, it is built for liability avoidance. It's easier to give every GBS woman, by the way, a GBS positive woman, we're not saying GBS, they're just positive at weeks. So they'll swab them at like 10 weeks and then be like, right, you have heard it, you need to go on antibiotic drip in your labour. And you're like, wow, that's months away. There's no evidence. Like, fair enough if they swabbed them in labour and then was like, you're positive now, and then you have a conversation about what you want to do. But they'll swab them early on in the pregnancy and then tell them they have to be in a bed on an IV drip as soon as they go into labour. What's that going to do? That's going to increase fear, increase anxiety, which is going to fuck your labour. It's also going to probably keep you strapped to a bed because they're going to want to put you on a CTG, because now you're classed as high risk and you go in the high risk ward where you aren't given freedom of movement, and then you're probably going to end up with a C-section. Can you see how each little teeny tiny little things add into this whole story of birth trauma? So it's easier to give every GBS positive woman antibiotics than to take the time to explain her actual risk, her options, or even monitor her labour with nuance. And it's not about informed consent, it's about protocols and covering their own backs. The result: thousands of women and babies are given drugs that they may never have even needed. And the lifelong impact of that disruption is just brushed off. The NHS does not track long term health outcomes for these babies. Oh, but you better believe Big Pharma benefits. When the eczema shows up, the asthma shows up, ADHD becomes a new diagnosis with all the repeat prescriptions. So, this is the thing. We need to all look at this and think about it. But obviously, it does not have to be this way. And this way, it's so important to inform and educate yourself on every single possible eventuality. There are evidence informed alternatives that many women have been successfully used to reduce or eliminate GBS naturally before birth. Now, I'm probably going to get some heat for this. I'm going to say this is not medical advice. This is things that I wouldn't even say advise, I give as options to clients. They can choose to do it or not. But if someone wants to lessen the risk and likelihoods of GBS being an issue, these are things that they could do. So, targeted probiotics, especially for this, raw garlic taken vaginally and orally, apple cider vinegar sitz baths or sprays, perineal steaming with antimicrobial herbs, high dose vitamin C, zinc, eating fermented foods, and following a low sugar diet because GBS thrives on sugar. Many women have turned a positive swab into a negative one in just a few weeks naturally, but they are never told about these options because that would require true informed consent and trusting women to make their own choices. Literally, one drip of those antibiotics in labour can kickstart a lifetime of health issues, not because GBS is dangerous, but because the system is too scared to treat you like an individual. GBS isn't a death sentence, but the protocol literally makes it feel like one. Now, moving on, I'm going to talk about trauma as the product. The system leaves you broken and reaps the benefit. So, let's talk about the unspoken aftermath of birth that nobody really wants to acknowledge. I'd say in my circles, in my world, we talk about it a lot because we're more aware of it. But I'd say most normies, and don't take that the wrong way if you're a normie, I'd say most normal people just it's too painful to acknowledge what's being done to them. It is. But this is the unspoken aftermath of birth. It's not just a personal experience, by the way. This is a pipeline, it's a business model, it's a long term customer acquisition strategy. Birth trauma, PTSD, incontinence, pelvic organ prolapse, sexual dysfunction, autoimmune issues, mental health breakdowns are all very, very common, normalized, but women are dismissed, gaslit, and told it's just the baby blues. It's a normal part of having a baby. Maternal suicide still remains the leading cause of death in the first year after birth. And it's not because women are weak, it's because the system has broken them silently, systematically, and then it sells them a lifetime of recovery. And some women don't even realise they've been traumatised until years later. The amount of older women I speak to and I tell them my job, and then it just falls out the mouth. This happened to me and they did this to me. And I feel like they've probably normalised it in their brain. And as soon as because obviously, when I'm like, I'm sassy, aren't I? And I'm like, well, actually, it shouldn't have been, blah, blah, blah. And then I think they're like, oh, shit, like this should not have happened. So yeah, they don't realise they've been traumatised until years later, and they might say, oh, they're fine because the baby is fine. And the age old thing of, well, at least my baby's alive. And that's like, you should, like, the groomed into thinking they should just be grateful because they've got a live child. Like, no, hon, a live child is the bare minimum. Um, Deep down, women's nervous systems are screaming, and it shows up in the quiet moments. So, panic attacks, night terrors, disconnection from your baby, full on breakdowns, mental health crises, autoimmune conditions, more likely in women because they're suppressing it. And some of them never link it back to the birth of their children. Never. They just, I don't know, women have just been taught and conditioned to and programmed that we just seem to suffer. A study or a report from the Birth Trauma Association have said that 1 in 3 women report their birth as traumatic, um, and that women who experience trauma are 3 times more likely to suffer from postnatal depression, and over 45% show signs of PTSD. And they're only the ones who've spoken about it. Can you imagine how many don't even talk about it? They just push it down. And many don't even have the language to explain what happened to them. Like, I think people think like I'm lying or I'm not. They think they don't like this isn't happening. I'm like, this is happening. And here's what gets even worse. These unresolved traumas, I think, break down relationships as well. When a woman and her partner are in the birth space and things are happening like that, she may end up resenting her partner for what happened to her in that room, for staying silent, for agreeing to something she screamed no to. Even if he didn't mean to fail her, her body remembers that moment as abandonment, and that resentment just doesn't go away. And I think people don't even know that this stuff is damaging relationships and marriages. It literally fractures the trust, the intimacy disappears, along with obviously recovery, healing. Obviously, if you've got stitches or tears or maybe scars, marriages end up breaking down. And this isn't just a bit of bad luck, it's literally design dysfunction, because this is another topic, but the system wants to destroy healthy, happy families. It does. It doesn't want strong men in the homes. It wants to have fractured families, because disempowered women birth disempowered children, and disempowered children are easier to enslave and control. But that's a podcast for another day. So, because the more broken you are, the more profit you generate. So think about it. You get PTSD. Oh, you need a bit of therapy. You need medication. Oh, you can't wee or poo after birth. You need a pelvic floor physio. You need surgery. You need these adult nappies. Your hormones are fucked. Oh, here's some HRT. Here's your thyroid meds. Take these antidepressants. Sexual dysfunction. Here's some libido pills. Oh, you need some vaginal estrogen, some estrogen cream, some relationship counselling. You can't bond with your baby. Here's some formula. Here's some sleep training. And try those antidepressants again. Every single complication, and I'm not even talking about just big pharma now, I'm talking about everything. Every complication has a product, a service, like a cost. And big pharma and the whole industry thrives on chronic customers. Like, they love chronic, like a bit of acute, you break your ankle, you need a bit of surgery. That's acute. Like, that's not going to make them any money. They want people keeping coming back. These broken bodies equal ongoing customers. And that is the hidden business model of birth. You don't just birth a baby in the system, you enter a pipeline. The earlier they break you, the earlier they profit. And it's not just mental and emotional trauma. Let's not forget the physical layers. So, inductions causing fetal distress and increase emergency section rates dramatically. The CTG monitoring, not evidence-based, yet it's used to justify surgery and blame mothers by saying their bodies have failed. And then the C-sections and forceps birth massively raise the risk of birth trauma and PTSD. All of this sets you up to be a patient, a consumer, a pharmaceutical target. And then what about the babies? Babies born via C-section or with antibiotics are robbed of their full gut microbiome. This affects their lifelong immunity, linking to eczema, allergies, asthma, autoimmune issues, gut dysfunction, and even the simple interventions when they're born in NICU, and they'll do things just in case, like give some antibiotics, destroys that newborn's gut. Thrush may be the first sign, eczema might be the next, and for many, that leads to steroid creams, infections. Then you might want to come off the steroid cream, and you're on full-blown topical steroid withdrawal, which is a lifelong cycle of damaged skin, suppressed symptoms. Then you'll need immunotherapy to stop your skin flaring up because you're withdrawing from the topical steroid creams. And also, while this disconnect's going on, who else is profiting? The formula industry. Formula, as in like the fake baby milk, is not neutral. It's literally an animal monster cash cow cashing in on disconnection. And if you have suffered that birth trauma from them induction C-section, you're probably more likely to give formula, because your hormonal balance and everything that's meant to help connect you with your baby and enhance breastfeeding is broken down. So formula is not neutral. It is highly processed, stripped of immune protective components, nowhere near breast milk in composition. And babies fed on formula have higher rates of ear infections, gut issues, asthma, increased risk of obesity and diabetes later in life, and a very altered microbiome development from the start. And I think they're saying if you even give your baby like one feed of formula, it takes their gut like 3 weeks to recover. And this is the thing, this society and the system, instead of supporting mothers to heal and breastfeed, the system just sabotaged them and sells them a tin of like formula. Just give them a bottle of formula. Makes your life easier. So from womb to bottle, the trauma is just monetized. It doesn't stop there. Even the most sacred part of birth, your placenta and your cord blood, is being quietly taken. Parents, and it's only when they're doing their own research, they're rarely being told of the full benefits of delayed cord clamping, or that the baby's stem cell rich blood could drastically reduce anemia and support immune health. Instead, that blood is often drawn early and can be sold. And this is a wild one, and I've seen it. It's getting very common in like the beauty industry now. Exosomes. So basically, these exosomes that women are inject, and I, to be honest, when I seen some results before and after, I was like, oh. And then I did my research and was like, nah, fuck that. Like, that's some adrenochrome shit. That, like, absolutely not. Exosomes found in babies' cord blood and placenta are being harvested, extracted, and sold in anti-aging skincare and regenerative medicine. And people are literally injecting that stem cell magic meant for newborns into their faces, while mums are literally being told, like, oh, it doesn't matter when we clamp the cord. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make any difference. No, it fucking does. That cord should be empty. This is theft. Sanitized, monetized, normalized. Women are literally left broken. Babies are being left depleted. And the system walks away with a long-term customer. Oh, and a highly valuable biological product that they can sell in a face cream or inject into, people's faces. And this is why I say, like, the system doesn't just fail you, it literally feeds off you. Like, it will take, when you think about it, like, we're gonna fuck your birth up. We're gonna also take your baby's blood so we can sell it so people can inject into their faces. And by the way, I don't blame these people who are injected into their faces. Like, not that I blame them. I think just do your research and think about ethically, is because are these parents who are getting their baby's blood taken being told, oh, this could help your baby, but I wonder what the situation, like, I'd be curious to know. Like, say I'm in Liverpool, aren't I, in the UK, where obviously there's girls, facialists, so I know, injecting exosomes, doing them in needle and facials, which I love a needle and facial. But I'm wondering, like, I know one of them said she got it from a pharmacist. Where are they getting it from? What country? Are these UK babies? Are these foreign babies? If they're UK babies, who's doing this? If it's foreign babies, or I don't know, maybe in poorer countries, are they being told? Like, also, like, I'm thinking, like, when I deep dive into this, I'm thinking, what have these mothers been eating? What have they been injecting themselves with? Did they take antibiotics? Like, you're putting things in your face. Like, it's just, yeah, that is for another day. So, and it's the thing, they will literally sell your placenta, call it waste, which is a little double standard. So let's talk about the placenta, that incredible once in a lifetime organ that your body grows from scratch to nourish, protect, oxygenate, and regulate your baby's entire existence in the womb. It's not just some squishy blob, like, it's not. It's packed with stem cells, hormones, iron, vitamins, powerful regenerative compounds. It's nature's blueprint for postnatal recovery. But here's the twist, like, the system will treat it like it's biohazardous waste when you want to keep it. But behind the scenes, it's literally a gold mine. And the dirty secret they don't tell you, hospitals and private companies in the UK, yes, right here, have long been involved in quietly harvesting placentas and selling them onto the pharmaceutical labs and luxury cosmetic companies. Stem cell banks for skin regeneration research, high-end anti-aging serums, and also experimental therapies for burns, wounds, and degenerative conditions. So your placenta, labelled clinical waste to your face, can go on to make thousands, even tens of thousands in resale value. In fact, on the black market, a single placenta can be worth 20 to 50 grand, depends on what it's extracted from. And I'll just tell you right now as well, they value placentas that have not been through the vaginal canal, the birth canal, because it hasn't got, obviously, vaginal, what they class as germs, bacteria. So they love a C-section placenta. So if you can get a little C-section placenta, oh, that's a nice clean placenta. That's probably that's going to go for 50 grand. And yet you're gaslit into thinking it's disgusting by the midwives for taking it home, or it's dangerous. Some women are even denied the right to keep it or told, oh, it has to go to pathology for testing for very unclear reasons, to never see it again. This is like birth sabotage 101. Like, they just don't like you having autonomy over your own birth. And the reason as well why they don't study placenta remedies properly is because there is no profit in you healing yourself. Like when women use their own placenta for postpartum recovery, balancing hormones, boosting mood, increasing milk supply, reducing postnatal bleeding, improving energy and iron levels, they're relying on something that their body's already made for free. Like big pharma cannot patent it, cannot sell it. There's no profit in it. So of course, there's not going to fund gold standard clinical trials into placenta encapsulation because if it works and women figure that out, they're going to lose a repeat customer. No antidepressants, no iron infusions, no prescriptions, no baby blues. We need a pill, just an empowered woman using her own biology. And yeah, so this is the thing, like the amount of my clients, obviously I make placenta pills for women. I offer that service. And the amount of midwives who've got like they're triggered by it and have got something to say about it. Doesn't work, you know. It's just waste, you know. But yeah, when they sell it behind your back, it's valuable as fuck. It's science. It's cutting edge. It's futuristic. Wow. But they just don't want you to be in control of that power. They don't want you to know that your placenta is sacred medicine. They'll label it as waste. They'll scare you with a biohazard warning. They'll guilt trip you and say we need it for safety checks after they have probably just scaremongered you into getting induced, having an epidural, having a section, and they'll blame you and say, oh, we need to check your placenta for things when they've just caused the issue. And then they'll just take it when you're overwhelmed and exhausted and you haven't got the fight in you. So they harvest it to sell. You aren't trusted with it. Your placenta could literally be worth thousands to them, and they gaslight you into thinking it's rubbish. Why? Because if you use it to heal yourself, they will lose a lifetime customer. So let's move on to doulas, the system's silent threat. So let's talk about the second most powerful woman in the room after the birthing woman, who doesn't carry a scalpel, a clipboard, or a hospital badge. The doula, the one the system tries to ignore, exclude, or patronize. And this is because the doulas are a direct threat to the birth industrial complex. Why? Because we literally disrupt their business model with compassion, continuity, and usually cold hard evidence. The stats they do not want you to see, according to multiple Cochrane reviews and research published in the Journal of Perinatal Education, there is a 39% decrease in the likelihood of a C section with continuous doula support, 15% increase in the likelihood of spontaneous vaginal birth, a 10% reduction in the use of pain meds, a 31% decrease in the use of induction drugs. We shorten labour by 41 minutes on average, and we reduce the risk of birth trauma and dissatisfaction. Literally, one woman, no machines, no drugs, just literally present, and she can dismantle their whole multi-million-pound protocol. No wonder they do not want to let us in. And hospitals don't like us because we aren't trained to obey or conditioned to obey. We are trained to support. We remind women that they have options, which obviously delays procedures, cuts profit. We say you can't say no, you've got options, whereas staff just want to say, no, this is the policy. We don't allow this. And we hold the line and point out coercion. So they'll literally say, like, doulas just interfere. Yeah, of course we do. Yeah, that's literally what we're here. We interfere with unnecessary bullshit, unnecessary surgery, unnecessary trauma, and unnecessary silence. Hospitals prefer compliant, obedient patients who say yes to whatever's in the policy. And a doula's presence literally reduces fear and increases oxytocin, which are the very hormones that make birth work. The system profits when oxytocin falls and adrenaline takes over. So when you're scared, stalled, and dependent, you'll need interventions. And I think, as I've mentioned before, like in places where doula programs have been introduced system wide, like parts of the US with Medicaid coverage for doula support, there's lower preterm birth rates, lower maternal mortality rates, improved breastfeeding rates, and higher maternal satisfaction. Doulas aren't just for hippies, they're basically for everyone and anyone. Birthing, I'd say in and out the system, we're not just like having a little crystal, we are literally for strategy and survival. Like People just think we take over and we make decisions for clients. No, no, no. We literally go over all of their options. Like, our clients are so informed. So let's talk a little bit about antibiotics. My fave. They don't just fix you, they create a need for lifelong fix it. So obviously, GBS antibiotics disrupt microbiome, fuel chronic issues when it can be treated naturally at home. Later, you'll end up with prescriptions for allergies, depression, skin issues, IBS. Each condition keeps you in the system. So it's like this big pharma pipeline starts at birth and they feed from it forever. The hidden costs of antibiotics are literally like from thrush to lifelong microbiome damage. They might seem like a quick fix, but the ripple effect runs deep, especially when you are giving them in during labour and early life. Thrush is often the first, most obvious symptom because it wipes out good bacteria in the vagina and the gut, allowing opportunistic fungi like Candida to overgrow. Many new mothers suffer from painful thrush infections after GBS antibiotics, leading to uncomfortable, persistent symptoms. But thrush is just the tip of the iceberg. They disrupt a newborn's microbiome, the community of friendly bacteria vital for digestion, immunity, and brain development. And this early microbiome destruction sets the stage for lifelong health issues. And as we've talked about, eczema, skin complaints, asthma, food allergies, immune system dysregulation leading to autoimmune diseases and chronic inflammation later on, elevated risk of obesity and metabolic disorders. Cancer is a metabolic disorder, and babies exposed to antibiotics at birth or via breastfeeding may develop fragile skin, prone to irritation, dryness, and infections. And usually later on, the most severe skin sufferers are prescribed blindly by these doctors topical steroids. Then there's the risk of developing topical steroid withdrawal if you try and stop them, which is a horrific condition. And research shows that early microbiome damage correlates strongly with eczema severity and the need for ongoing dermatological treatment. This cascade begins with what seems like a simple antibiotic drip in labour, but the effects echo throughout the child's life, impacting skin, immune system, and even mental health via the gut-brain axes. Because it starts with thrush, a sign your body's ecosystem is out of balance, but the damage runs so much deeper. Destroying a baby's microbiome from birth, antibiotics can cause all of these side effects, and it's a lifetime of consequences. So let's talk a little bit about natural healing and being more empowered. Because this is not just about resisting. You don't want to resist everything. You want to reclaim your health and you want to reclaim your birth. And let's be clear, this is not just about saying no to the system, because you might say no to everything, but what have you got to back it up? What knowledge have you got to make better choices? It is about saying yes, powerful and unapologetically, to your body's wisdom, to ancestral ways, and to radical self-responsibility, because natural healing, physiological birth, keeping your placenta, working with your doulas, and supporting your gut health, your nervous system, and your intuition, none of that makes them any money, but it enhances your life. It also helps you feel more empowered, it helps you feel in control, and it lessens your risk of birth trauma. But not only just for birth, it empowers you moving through life. Like, there's no one I know who went from using the mainstream medical system who come out of it, who regrets coming out of it. It's only the people who used it who regret it. I don't know anyone who's like, I really regret healing myself and using natural means with no side effect. No, no, doesn't. I don't know any. But it's because it's the thing is, what it might be is people who don't want to do it and resist it. It's gonna sound mean because they're a bit lazy. They can't be asked. They'd rather outsource the power and go, "You fix me, doctor," but then they regret it later down the line. Because this is the thing, natural healing isn't expensive, and for them, that is the problem. Like, they want you to believe birth is broken, that you need them to monitor you, to inject you, to scan you, to cut you, to stitch you back together. But let's be honest, like, your body was never the problem. The system profits the most when you don't trust your body. So where are we putting our money? Realistically, if you're pregnant or you've had a baby or you're planning children, like, why are you spending hundreds on prams and gender reveal parties and baby showers and this little fucking, I don't know, baby rocker or whatever, if you're not spending money on birth education, if you're not spending money on real organic food, good quality supplement, if you're not investing in a doula, if you're not investing in birth education, if you're not investing in a course that teaches you your birthright, if you're not getting your placenta encapsulated, if you're not doing preventative natural treatments to prevent GBS, to prevent preeclampsia, to prevent other things that could crop up if you are well researched, if you're spending all that money on all that shit, but you're not spending money on actual things that are going to improve your, not only your birth experience, but your health and your baby's health, like, what are you doing? This is not like a judgment. This is like you've been conditioned to think that it's normal, and then you go into hospital, you've got your gorgeous prom, and you've had, oh, you had a gorgeous gender reveal, we're having a boy, and then you have a gorgeous gender, what is it, baby shower with all blue balloons, and your baby's got all these gorgeous baby grows, but then you come out of hospital a shell of yourself because you didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. And what's the point in having a fucking Versace baby grow when you're literally lost half of your body's blood, you're stitched from front to back, and your baby's suffering severe birth trauma from being dragged out? Sorry for the sounds being judgy, but this is very important. So let's not be the good little consumer. You know what? Buy that shit if you want, like, not being do whatever you want, but don't prioritize the crap over the actual things that are important. Like, don't waste your money. As long as you've got a vagina and a boob and a couple of baby grows, and some people don't even use nappies. Have a look into elimination communication where you don't need nappies, but all you need, as long as you've got a boob, that is all they need. They just need you. They don't need the crap. And this is the thing, the system and everything around it is literally conditioned you into thinking you need to buy this crap to have a baby. Like, they don't need a cot, they sleep with you. They don't need formula, they feed off your boob. Like, they don't need a pram yet. You shouldn't really be going out for the first 2 weeks, so you should be resting. Like, it all just keeps you distracted and disconnected from your real power. Like, doing this is like radical self-responsibility, like choosing to be informed, take ownership, question everything, question every scan, every needle, every just in case, prioritize your long-term health over short-term fear. Ask who benefits from me saying yes to this. Look at the policies. What happens if I say no? Use the brain tool. This is not anti-midwife, anti-doctor. This is pro-discernment. This is not woo-woo. This is ancient wisdom. This is common sense. It's not risky. The real risk is giving away your power and sovereignty to a system that sees you as a walking liability or a product. Reclaiming birth basically means trusting your body's physiology. Do not outsource your instincts. Keep your placenta if you want. It's yours. Choose nourishment over numbing rather than people like, oh, I'll just take every drug they give me. Why? It's not going to help you afterwards. Build a village, hire a doula, ask for help, remind yourself who the fuck you are. Prepare your mind and body for birth and not just your hospital bag. Like, that is the biggest one. A lot of births, no matter how much you prepare, if your mind is not ready, it can sabotage your body. So, yeah, they say natural birth is risky, but what they mean is it doesn't turn a profit. Healing through food, herbs, rest, love, placenta medicine, that won't keep you on prescriptions for life, and that's their problem. We're not just resisting, we are reclaiming birth, and in doing so, you can change your whole damn life. And then also, I just want to clear up a few things with regards to why interventions keep getting pushed, especially in the UK. Doctors and midwives, they do not personally cash in from each intervention, unlike the US and some other countries where billing for scans, inductions, C-sections can pad the doctor's paycheck out directly. In the UK, the clinicians themselves don't see any money. So why is the culture of over intervention? Because it's the system, the NHS policies, the hospital managed, the risk averse protocols that trickle down and shape everyday practice. It's a culture driven by fear of litigation, staffing shortages, performance targets, and cost pressures. And those pressures push for defensive medicine, doing more intervention to avoid blame or complaints, not necessarily because it's what's best for the women. The financial incentives don't land in the midwives or doctors' pockets here, and that's why many frontline staff get frustrated and even annoyed with the system themselves. They are literally caught in a web of policies and protocols that they didn't create and they cannot easily change. And that is literally the reason why I left, because I thought, I'm going to go into the system and I'm going to make a difference. Nah, girl, you never will. The system is designed perfectly. People think it's like a broken system. No, it works perfectly for what it's designed for. It wasn't designed for you. And the real money is elsewhere. The big pharma companies, the device manufacturers, the hospital contractors, the insurance systems, that is where the big money flows. They profit from repeat prescriptions, interventions, surgeries, scans, and follow-up care that comes from this risk-averse, intervention-heavy culture. So yeah, medical staff want good outcomes, but they are stuck in a system built around profit and risk management, not individualized, respectful care. So what does this mean for you? When you're encouraged to accept every scan, drip, and induction just in case, it's not it's not in the UK, your doctor or midwife trying to make money directly from you. It's the culture shaped by systemic priorities. And this is the ones that keep you coming back for more and more fixes, more prescriptions. So your radical self-responsibility means questioning this culture. It means demanding care that respects your body, your choices, and your timing. You need individualized care. This is not a one size fits all protocol, and it's driven by risk and aversion and big money interest. So, this is about you taking back your power. So, this is where you need to educate yourself, educate your birth partner. They are going to be the ones who are going to be in the room advocating for you when you give birth. Hire a doula. We are very valuable. Some of the best money you'll ever spend, especially for birth partners and first time parents as well. Keep your placenta if you want it. Even if you don't want to eat it, just take it home, look at it, plant it in your favourite, plant a rose bush for the baby. Protect your birth and share this truth. So, obviously, if you have enjoyed this episode, if you've had some wild truths, feel free to message me. Share this with someone who you think needs to hear it. And let's take back our power. Now that you know the hidden truth behind the business of birth, from expensive interventions to antibiotics that wreck lives and a system that profits from your pain, this is not just healthcare, it's like a big business designed as care. If it has opened your eyes, don't keep it to yourself. Share it everywhere. Your friends, your birth community, your doulas, even your midwives. If they're gonna, I think people think that I literally don't give a fuck, and I'm not. I'm not scared. I'm not scared at all. Like, couldn't give a fuck, but it still makes me a bit nervous. But let's get this truth out there where it belongs. Head over to my Instagram, the Liverpool Doula. Tell me your thoughts, your birth stories. If you've got any questions, you can visit my Instagram, as I've just said, or my website, which is theliverpooldoula.co.uk. I also offer one-to-one birth coaching sessions, birth planning sessions, and I also have an unbelievable range of organic products that work amazingly. Everything's handmade by me. So yeah, thank you for listening to the Liverpool Doula Against the Grain, where we question everything and reclaim our power. Nothing in this podcast can be construed as professional advice, and it does not replace the guidance of a trained professional. These conversations are here to spark curiosity and offer perspectives, not prescriptions. Thanks, guys.